Don't forget the Amherst Lions Club Breakfast, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks. On March 15th, it'll be at 8:30 at Christ Methodist Church in Amherst, and it will benefit the Eye Diagnostic Center. Get some more information at 694-5814. Welcome back as All That Matters continues here this afternoon. Glad you could be along for this edition with some timely information coming up in the next couple of moments as we discuss healthcare here in Western New York, and an ongoing program that you can take part in, have your voice heard in the conversation as we talk about One Friday for Futures, an innovative healthcare initiative that is going to focus around scenario-based healthcare outcomes and involve regular Western New Yorkers in how they want healthcare to look in the future in Western New York. Everyone watching, everyone hearing my voice is a consumer of healthcare, so this is definitely a conversation that affects us all. I'm joined here on the Channel 13 set by Ann Monroe. Ann is the president of the Community Health Foundation of Western New York. Ann, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter.
It's a pleasure to talk to you, and certainly about something as important as healthcare, not only in Western New York, but around the country. Let's stick specifically with Western New York. Healthcare costs are spiraling out of control. There are many discrepancies. A lot of people do not have health insurance. Talk a little bit about the idea behind One Friday for Futures.
Well, as everyone knows, we've been going through a lot of changes in healthcare here in Western New York, whether that's the result of state-mandated mergers or closures, or just the aging of the population and the demands that that places on the healthcare system. And so over the next 10 years, there's going to have to be a lot of changes in how healthcare is delivered, how it's designed, how it's paid for. You're right, the cost to employers and to individuals is going up every day. And so we're seeing an increase in people going without insurance, or as we would say, underinsured. So all of that is happening in Western New York. And the voice that we haven't really heard at the table in any kind of coordinated way is the voice of the user. And, you know, in any other industry, if you were going to design a system, a computer system or a customer service system, the first thing you would do is ask the users of the system, what do they want? Well, we're not hearing that today. We're not really hearing what people want. And it isn't because we haven't thought about it as users, but there really is no vehicle for us to express our thoughts except one-on-one, or, you know, just randomly, if you would.
Or happen to talk to a relative, or
that's right, or
like
get stopped by a reporter when they're filming on a particular issue and you have an opinion. But in an organized way, we really haven't seen any way for the voice of the consumer to play a bigger role in some of these decisions.
And now we're talking about One Friday for Futures. A lot of planning went into putting this together.
More than a year of planning. It's sponsored by our foundation, by the Oshai Foundation. The P2 Collaborative plays a big role, and the Regional Institute at UB is also a sponsor. And what we did was we pulled together about 30 people from the community across the 8 counties, some in healthcare, a lot of consumers and users, to begin to talk about what might some pictures of the future look like. You know, it's really tempting to talk about all the problems we have today.
Right.
But that does a couple things. One, it depresses everyone, frankly. And secondly, it doesn't lead you towards something. It just tells you what you really don't want to have. So this is really designed looking at a day in June in 2018, 10 years from now, and looking at 4 different possibilities of how healthcare could look for these 3 different people.
And this is where the scenarios come into play, and you can read about them in the One Friday for Futures booklet. The 3 main characters, it's Friday, June 22nd, 2018, and it follows them through possible scenarios depending on healthcare. I don't know what
how it's organized,
there you go.
How what its priorities have been, what decisions we've made today that are now playing out in 10 years.
And it's fascinating, the scenarios. You see some of the characters are medical professionals. Some of them are just healthcare users. A lot of them will be very familiar to our viewers. They're just regular people.
Well, that's what's important. There is a science to scenario planning in terms of how you structure the stories. But the content is straight out of Western New York. It was written by people who live here about the situations that we have here. And so the concept of One Friday for Futures is that if you take these 4 stories and you take them around the region and hold lots of different meetings, as I like to say, from block clubs to boardrooms, and you get small groups of people or large groups of people to respond to these stories, we can, from that collective conversation, begin to distill what is really important to people, and then use that in designing the systems of the future.
In influencing policy and priorities in the future.
Exactly.
Now, the conversations, you're looking for people to host conversations.
Yes, we are.
And they will be facilitated by someone who will guide them through the process. Yes?
These conversations are really turnkey. You provide the place and the people. It could be your women's club, your church group, your neighborhood association, your block club. We will provide a skilled facilitator, the story in both written format and recorded, so that if people don't have, if their literacy might be an issue, they can listen to the stories. We'll structure it. We provide all the materials, an invitation you can use. It's kind of a meeting in a box, if you would, and we'll do it all. What you need to do is bring people together and agree to spend up to an hour to an hour and a half, depending upon the level of conversation. But we're committed to going through this meeting in an hour. So it's not really necessary that it be a big production. It can be the topic on your March neighborhood meeting,
exactly,
or Kiwanis meeting, or whatever it might be. Our goal is to have at least 100 to 150 of these meetings across the region over the next 3 to 4 months. Then we'll be able to confidently stand up and say, this is what the community says is important.
I'd like to follow up with you at that point.
I would
sure,
like
Ann.
that too.
How can our viewers get information on hosting a conversation?
There's a phone number and a website. All you have to do is call. They'll send you everything. We'll schedule it. We'll get that facilitator out there with their materials, and we'll have the meeting.
And we'll leave it with that. Ann Monroe, great to see you again.
Very nice
Thanks
to
for
see you
coming
too,
along
Peter.
and talking about something so timely here in Western New York. Healthcare, One Friday, Four Futures. It affects us all. Do get involved. That's it for this edition of Matters. For Lorraine O'Donnell, I'm Peter Anderson. Have a great day. See you next time for our next edition of All That Matters.